Hey, good morning. Good morning. So, hey guys, I know it's a weird time. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and normally I don't like getting up so early because I'm retired. But when it comes to our next guest, it's worth getting up early in the morning. But before we get to Luis, how you doing, Luis? We're going to sit there and have a quick promo. So the key thing about we worry about with this whole podcast is we're trying to get ready for the New Year's, Thanksgiving, Veterans Day, and all that stuff. And that we know when it comes to the holidays, it's a stressful time anyway. But with the backdrop of COVID, the elections, and the protests, it's going to be more stressful. So we got to sit there and get our citizens prepared for the holidays. And this podcast is doing that. So that's what you're going to see for last week. So real quickly, last week, if you guys didn't make it last week, we had Jennifer Broomfield from Bay Area Legals, and they have so much resources. I hope you guys get a chance to tap into what they do. They have a veteran legal support line for them. They handle domestics, they handle evictions, and also benefits. So just want to let you know what we're doing here. Finally, we have. I want you to just know what's going on for the next week. The next couple of weeks, we got Viera. I got the date wrong there. It's actually the day, the 10th. We have the homeless advocates this Friday, and we want to focus on the families. We got the nonprofits that is supporting the Tampa Hillsborough area, so you know what they're doing. We got the focus on the family. The focus on the family is just important because they're going through stuff as well. So we're going to have some counselors and people who deal with the families on that particular day. And finally, we're going to have domestic violence thing by the spring's going to be on. Just in case, again, it's a very stressful time. So what we want to try to do is that people who are stressed, we want them to have ways of getting away from that stress. And then people who are, if they do experience domestic violence, they know what to do from there. And then finally, you get a chance to see a whole tribe for the last week, for the 18th. So anyway, welcome to Know Your Local Resource. Our guest today will be Luis Viera, Councilman Luis Viera.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellsworth. It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Thank you, Lewis. And now, Lewis, Lewis and I, we go back a long, long way. I mean, in fact, I got a little surprise for you and see if Lewis remember this. This is when Lewis attended our memorial. We had a special memorial for families who lost veterans to suicide, and Lewis was there for that. He provided Veterans Council veteran commemoration, and also he was a speaker as well. So I just wanted to show that so they know that, hey, Lewis not somebody just grabbed off the street and say, hey, this is somebody who actually knows about Veteran Council veterans and what we do. So I always wanted to show that, Luis. Luis, as you know, and then Luis can introduce himself more.
Sure.
Luis.
Oh.
Luis Viera, of course, is a lawyer. I get nervous when I get lawyers. This is my second lawyer in a row, so I don't know. It's kind of like a pattern. Luis is a lawyer, and then he finally ran for city councilman. City councilman tells us how long he's been there. I think he's the district councilman for District 7. Mm-hmm. And well, one thing I wanted Luis on here because Luis, if you guys see him on the Facebook, whatever, he's always out there grinding. He is a guy that's always out there talking to the people, what I call a grassroots person that inspires me to know there's somebody out there in the community leadership community who's actually care about what's going on. But enough of me talking about Luis. Luis, it's your turn, sir. It's your mic.
Thank you so much, Ellsworth. It's a pleasure to be here today, and hi to everybody in your audience. You know, it's such a real pleasure to be here. I salute you and all the work that you do for our veterans. You deal with such a pivotal area that for too long had been ignored, which is the emotional well-being of our veterans. And you get great help from so many other individuals in the community that you've worked with. Your grumpy friend Mike Odell. So I love Mike. I actually owe him a call. I got to call him today, or else he's gonna, I'm gonna be on Mike's bad list. And one of my favorite people, but so many good people. But I'm Luis Viera on Tampa City Council. I represent District 7, which is the North and New Tampa area. I've been on City Council for about 4 years, and time flies, doesn't it? I first got elected in 2016. In my first race, I got in by 65 votes. And, the last two presidential elections have been very, very close. And so I know a thing or two about that from my own personal experience. And I've been on there for 4 years, and I've, tried to work with a lot of different issues that are very, very close to my heart, supporting our first responders, parks and recreation, the rights of the disabled, local civil rights issues, some historical commemoration issues, and certainly our veterans. We got to, like we'll talk about, we got to look for the things in this country that bring us together. And the valor of our veterans I don't care if that veteran is voted for Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I don't care if they're a Methodist or a Catholic. I don't care if they're a Cubs or a Cardinals fan. If you wore that uniform, we're going to support you. And that's the message that we all got to get behind. But it's a pleasure to be here.
Real quick, Viera, I want to just, Luis, I want to show you this map here. So this is kind of what District 7 looks like. I don't know if you can see it. It's all the way. You got Fowler and Bush. In fact, Luis, my wife, I don't know if you know, wife is a retired law enforcement officer out of New Jersey. Well, one of her captains just moved to your area. So,
good. There you go.
He just moved in about 3 weeks ago. So hopefully you get a chance to meet him, so he knows who actually represents him in the area.
I'd love to. And in District 7, we have a lot of retired military here, especially in the New Tampa area, but really throughout all of the North and New Tampa area. We have a lot. In Hillsborough County, we have about 100,000 veterans. And here in New and North Tampa, we have many, many, many prestigious veterans. I know we have retired Marine General Marty Steele, who's here, Brigadier General Remo Butler, who lives here in New Tampa. Yep, and he was in the news a lot. He's actually a heck of an interesting guy. And I may actually see him tomorrow. I hope I will. We have a lot of veterans out here.
So, Luis, one of the whole purpose of this is to know your local resource, and a lot of resources out there. So, can you give us some examples? I know you're part of the Veteran Treatment Court, and you mentioned Mike with the Veterans Help Veterans. Can you just identify several resources out there for veterans out there, so we know?
Yeah, without a doubt. There's so many out there. I mean, there's obviously government services, federal, county government services, et cetera, that do such a great job or aspire to do a great job. They're obviously not perfect and they need more funding. But I think the heart and soul of what makes the veterans community so important in Tampa and Hillsborough County are those everyday organizations, the Veterans Counseling Veterans, the Veterans Helping Veterans, the Veterans Treatment Court, the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 787 by Colonel Jim Fletcher. So many different organizations that no matter your interest, I'm sure if you're political, there's Republican veterans groups. I know there's a Democratic Veterans Caucus. They're all over the place. There's the Jewish War Veterans of America that's very big here in the Tampa area, and they do wonderful, wonderful, wonderful work. So really, there's a lot of different organizations here in the Tampa area that have got your back. And, I encourage veterans to join organizations like this because a lot of the struggles that people have, it's important for people to know that they're not alone. And in these organizations, what I find as an outsider is that people are very open. Another one, how can I forget, and God bless them, is our Gold Star parents. We have the Tampa Bay Gold Star Mothers Organization that just does such a great job. We have Florida Gold Star Fathers. I know Craig Gross is their chaplain. He's such a wonderful individual. He and his wife, Tony Gross, are parents of the late Frank Gross, who was killed in action in 2011, I believe it is, in Afghanistan. So we have a lot of organizations here. The Paralyzed Veterans of America, Ben Ritter, who's a Marine, does a great job with them. So there's a lot of resources out there, and it's a matter of people just merely asking.
And knowing, you just mentioned Marines. Matter of fact, all I see all day is Marine crap. God, let me get through this day. But you mentioned about the James and those guys. Yeah, and I really appreciate it. I want to try to have a couple of them on in a couple of weeks where they can kind of know the resources, the nonprofits that are out there that may be available during this time of stress, whatever. So hopefully I can reach out to. We have a couple coming on. I think in 2 weeks we have organizations getting together to talk about what they're doing for the community. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that you want to sit there and tell the viewers as far as any because when we talked to Jennifer last week, we talked about evictions, and that kind of stuff. And a homeless. I think this week we're gonna have a homeless advocate on. So anybody want to highlight anyone that you know of any kind of events going on in your area, whatever that maybe the veterans can go to, and families. Don't forget families.
Yes, and that's very important, Ellsworth, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that, which is that the families of our veterans go through such struggles, seeing their loved ones deployed and then suffer from the after effects of it. I think the main thing that we can offer here in the city of Tampa is a number of things, but it's mostly our citizens groups. I'm such a big believer in getting together with people with similar experiences. I come from my world. As you probably know, I have a brother who's mentally disabled. And, my parents raising my brother Juan, one of the big things that changed my family was when we joined the First Baptist Church of Brandon, which had a huge special education ministry. I was a kid. And, going from a Hispanic Catholic church to a Southern Baptist church was quite a change. But they're good, God-fearing people. And having a group like that where people understand what it's like to get that diagnosis or to go through that experience, again, with veterans, the main message that I think that these organizations have is you're not alone. If you're a Vietnam veteran and are still, as I'm sure all of them are, suffering from the emotional and physical effects of your service, there's organizations like the Vietnam Veterans of America 787, where you have a lot of good individuals who have walked in the shoes that you've walked in. If you've lost a loved one in service, and that could be either an accident in boot camp, that could be an accident in training, it could be a combat related issue, it could be an issue that arose years after your service but is related to your service. We read a lot of stories on how, like, the Vietnam Wall has been amended sometimes for veterans who took their own lives, and that's directly related to their service, for example, in Vietnam. That no matter your experience, there is an organization out there that will have your back. Ellsworth, I mean, one of the best things, and I don't forget this, that I've ever seen anybody do is what y'all did on Memorial Day. That picture that you showed, that was an event for mental health. And it told those parents, I know, for example, Kathy Sprigg, who I think lives in the Spring Hill area, who her son took his own life, service-related PTSD. And it tells people that, Memorial Day is for you too. That mental health related to the battlefield can take your life just like a bullet or an IED. I'll never forget Ellsworth. One day I was canvassing for my reelection in 2019, and I'm going door to door. And this is a true story. I'm in New Tampa, and there's a woman out sitting at her porch, and she's just sitting out there, a nice woman, probably 40s, whatever it is. And I go up to her, and she seemed a little down. And she said that she, her son, who had served, I believe it was a Green Beret, had taken his own life about 6 or 7, 8 months ago, and she was just out there praying for help. And I was able to connect her to resources with the Gold Star families, etc. So my point is that if you're a veteran and you're praying right now for help, there is help. There is help. This almost sounds religious, but it's true. There is help, and that the good Lord sends people who can help you here on earth. And they're here. They're here through you, Ellsworth. They're here through Jim Fletcher, Mike Odell, Colonel DJ Reyes. They're here through Craig and Tony Gross. So many different people, Michael and Annette Kirk. So many good people that are caring and compassionate people. They don't care what your background is. They don't care what your skin color is. They don't care who you voted for. Heck, just be frank, I've had some great talks with some of my veteran friends who, maybe they didn't see the election results the way that I did. And I tell them, hey, listen, we may disagree, but I don't care who you voted for. I love you no matter what. Because the ties that bind these people is the service, and that overcomes faith, that overcomes culture, that overcomes political affiliation. So that's the message I would send, Ellsworth.
Yes, and that is a strong message, and it's powerful. If you're believing God or spiritual, that's very important. But just being human person, humanity part, we have to start, getting back together and focus on being America, the United States of America. And I know that's coming. Well, regardless of how you feel about the election, I try to stay away from that as much as possible, because that's what the insanity is. I try to stay away from insanity. But I do appreciate your message, and I agree with your message. So anyway, all right, well, we're about up here. We wanted to make sure that we wanted to get a chance to spit everybody out there who's watching, and I'll share this as well. This is like, I'm normally not up this early, okay? This is my third dream cycle, right, normally. But I wanted you to I want to have a chance to talk to you and see everybody know who's out there. And when is are you running for re-election again, or is this it?
Oh no, I've got not another election unless if I'm dumb enough to jump to something else until March of 2023. So, I was out with my good friend, Representative Fentress Driscoll, who's a state rep and a great lady. I always joke that Fentress is very jealous of me because she went to Harvard and I went to USF. I'm joking there. But Representative Driscoll and I were talking at a big event, and I told folks it was before the election. And I said, by the way, neither of us are on the ballot. The message being that we're out there talking to people, not because we got an election, but because we're elected officials. So, my message to people is that if you're a veteran and you have a need, please contact my office, email me, luis.viera at tampagov.net, and we can link you to the right service, whether it's the county, the state of Florida, the U.S. government, whoever it may be. We can link you to that service. I'm proud of a number of things I've done in public office, but one of the things I'm proudest of has been my the work I've been able to do with veterans, whether it's been the Warrior Games or numerous events to honor veterans, etc. To me, that's so important. That goes to the heart of American honor. And again, and this is what I tell people, and I almost sound like a hokey, naive guy, but in these days, we have to remember those ties that bind as Americans. Ellsworth, it's funny, my son is studying right now for his school, the American Revolution. And so I've been able to, because since I love U.S. history, so I'm kind of reading it with him. And, reading Thomas Paine's Common Sense, reading Patrick Henry, going through all those great names, you're reminded of the passion that started this country. It was imperfect passion, but it certainly started something great. And that's worth defending today. No matter your background, no matter your politics, who you love, who you worship, we're all Americans. And I think that's important.
Thank you very much, Councilman Luis Viera. It's great knowing you. I'll be heading out there tonight. I'll be out there in Tampa, I think tonight or tomorrow. But are you doing anything for Veterans Day tomorrow?
Yes, actually I am. I'm 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're having an event with Judge E.J. Salcinas, who is the greatest champion of Lieutenant Baldomero Lopez, to honor the life of the late, great Lieutenant Baldomero Lopez. So we're doing that at 10 a.m. Then at about 11:15, I know the mayor is doing some event. I'll be there as well. And then at 2 p.m., roughly, I'll be presenting my friends at Corey Lake Isles with a city council commendation for all their work they do for veterans. And I really love doing that at Corey Lake because that's a very diverse community, Ellsworth. A lot of Indians, a lot of Middle Eastern people, a lot of Asians. It's probably majority minority out there in New Tampa. And these are all immigrants who come here and they love their country and they express it to veterans like yourself. So I'm doing that, and I'll probably visit a fire station or a police station, because if you visit a fire station or a police station, you're bound to run into 10 veterans there.
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe you see me out there tomorrow when it's happening. Maybe you'll see me. All right.
Hey,
thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it and giving the insights. Have a great Thanksgiving and New Year's, and I'll see you top. Let me get the close out real quick.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, okay, guys. So we just got finished listening to Councilman Luis Viera. He's a councilman for District 7, and identifying all the resources that are out there for the veterans in the community. And that's what we're trying to do with this event here. We're trying to sit there and identify local resources for the community. So anyway, you may see me on Friday. We're going to talk about the homeless veterans advocates, what's going out there for homeless veterans. Until then, this is Tony Williams out.